Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to Business Innovators Radio. This is your host, Constant Taylor. Today, we have a very special guest on the show, and they're going to share some very exciting information with us. So, if you're looking to increase your personal and professional effectiveness in the areas of relationships, then you've come to the right place. Our special guest today is Dr. Judith Wright. Judith has been speaking professionally for over 20 years, and the content that she primarily speaks on is transformation, social, emotional intelligence, and she also helps couples. She has spoken both nationally and internationally and is based out of Chicago. Her latest book is called Transformed, with an exclamation mark, The Science of Spectacular Living. She also has a book coming out soon called The Heart of the Fight. Dr. Wright, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I'd like to kick off the show by asking you if you could tell the listeners a little bit about your business and how you help people become more successful and lead more fulfilling and enriching lives.
It's one of the things I love to talk about, because to help people live those kind of lives is a beautiful blessing. We actually have a graduate university now, the Wright Graduate University for the Realization of Human Potential, where people can get Masters and Doctoral degrees in transformational leadership and coaching and certificates in emotional intelligence and social intelligence. It's really beautiful. But we also have not credit courses where people can learn how to really live great lives, expand their businesses, and have deep and satisfying intimate relationships. And we do that based in Chicago, but we also have online possibilities for people and webcasting and video conferencing any way we can to help people really learn the skills to bring out the best in themselves and also those that they lead and touch.
What is the key to transformation, to transforming yourself? Most people live their lives and it's kind of hard change is hard for many people. How do you help them with that?
Well, it's something we've been studying a long time, because I think many of us have tried to change, and sometimes we make a change, or we lose weight, for example, then we gain it back and don't know how to keep those gains. But we really studied who are people that are really living great lives, who have a real deep sense of self, they have committed intimate relationships, they have expanding leadership, they have professional success. What are they doing differently than other people do? And we studied that, and we found that they follow a 6-phase process. And now we've taken that process and we've added into the curriculum that we've had, and so we're able to kind of integrate the best of our research and the best of current neuroscience and how the brain works and how change really happens, and put it into a systemized program. We've kind of boiled it down into a step-by-step curriculum with life assignments that people do, and provide them the structure and the support to make changes and really understand what it takes to make those changes in a way that makes them last. So you don't just learn a little bit or grow a little bit, which is wonderful, but you literally become someone that you didn't even imagine becoming. I mean, you really find out to realize our potential, I think, is something all of us want. I think we all feel like there's something more inside of us, and it's really beautiful when we can find the path to create that.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. And I think what you guys are doing there is absolutely spectacular and phenomenal. Now, who would you consider the perfect prototype of a future client? Someone that you say, hey, this person, this organization, I could really help them.
It's people who really want to bring out their best, people that want to energize their lives, that they want to find out who they can become. Sometimes it's successful people that are successful, but yes, it still feel like there's something missing, or that there's a problem showing up in their lives and they're stalled in their careers, or the relationships are a bit empty. Those are the kind of people, there's a hunger there's something that they want and they're willing to do something about it. Those are people we can really serve. And particularly now couples who really want something more. They want really not just to exist or have a contentious relationship, but really have deep and satisfying, long-lasting intimacy.
Now, let's move into couples and relationships. Now, how engaged do you get with the couples, and how severe are the issues and challenges that face those couples?
You know, it's interesting because we work with couples that are really challenged and really at the brink of divorce, and we work with couples that just want more out of their relationship. So, but what we found is it's not just, which goes counter to what most people think, it's not just working on the relationship. In fact, just couples communication and conflict resolution isn't the answer. That's not what makes relationships work. It's when you work on yourself, when you work on the individuals really learning and growing, and then bring that back to the couple is where the real magic starts to happen.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more, and that resonates very strongly with me because, you know, I figure no matter how good we are as a couple, I still need to be the best that I can be so that I can bring the best to the relationship. So that's very good insight.
Well, it's beautifully put, what you just said. And I think what you're saying is really the purpose of relationships. Many of us think a relationship is just something to be comfortable in or to make us happy. And, you know, that's lovely. But we think the real purpose of a couple is to really help us become the best people we can become. And by doing that, we bring a lot more to the relationship, and the relationship grows as well.
Now, what are 2 to 3 problems or issues that you typically identify with helping people with relationships, and how do you help them solve those?
Well, the first part is, you know, couples really don't know oftentimes what it really takes to have a great relationship. There's a lot of mythology in our world. Oh, and they lived happily ever after, you know, and fairy tales,
right,
and romance, and it's not really what it takes. So usually couples don't know what you really need to do. So that's one thing. And another is that couples don't know how to work through conflict. They either get lost in it and get really distant with each other, or they try to avoid conflict, and they end up either settling or separating or thinking, oh, if I avoid conflict, then that'll make the relationship strong. But it doesn't. It actually tears the relationship apart. And I think another thing is that people think conflict is a problem, like it's something bad, or that if you fall out of love, it's just the end. And not really. That really can be the opening for much deeper intimacy. It actually could, rather than be the end, it actually could be the beginning of an amazing journey.
That makes perfect sense. It's like especially if 2 people have gone through something to get something together, it kind of forges a bond in all areas of life, whether it's sports, football, or business or relationships. So that makes sense. Now, what is the main reason that you find that couples or organizations decide not to utilize your services?
I think that's a good question, and I think it's, you know, sometimes it's that, well, people get discouraged. They've tried things before, or they were promised something and it didn't work, or it didn't keep, or it didn't last, or they're skeptical or burned out from other things. So that sometimes plays into it. And other times people are afraid of what it's going to take. Will it take time? Will it take effort? And yes, it will. I mean, anything worth having really does take that. And I think that is something that is concerned. But I think that's those kinds of things, like either not believing or afraid that it won't work and not wanting to take the risk, or afraid of what it'll really take to really have what it is they want.
So what are some common misconceptions about the services that you provide, and how do you dispel those or wipe those out?
Yeah, well, I think part of it is that, you know, part of it with couples is that, again, thinking they've got the wrong formula, like we should just be nice or not make waves, or we should live a fairy tale kind of thing, or we should learn just how to communicate or resolve conflict. That's not sufficient. So that's a piece of it. And again, thinking maybe it won't work or takes too much time, and not really realizing what it really takes to really live this beautiful life, because part of it is really understanding what's going on inside of you when you're fighting, for example, that we're never usually fighting about the topic. It's not, oh, he left the toilet seat up again. It's really not about the toilet seat.
Right.
It's what that means to us. What does that symbolize? It usually symbolizes, oh, that must mean he doesn't care about me. Because we all yearn at a deeper level, with these deep yearnings to love and be loved, to be seen, to be affirmed, to be seen and heard and known, and to touch and be touched, and to matter and to make a difference. And those are the things that really matter. And if we can get to that and start teaching people how to really learn how to touch those deeper places and live our lives from that, and to communicate those kinds of needs responsibly and clearly, oh my goodness, the changes that can happen out of that are really profound.
And so it sounds like right there at the end you were touching on my second question, which is social emotional intelligence, and I was going to ask, how do you help people with that?
Well, that's so important, because our ability to be with our emotions and to be able to have rapport and relationship with others is the key not only to intimacy, but the key to success in our businesses and our careers. So what we've been very lucky. I thought you just either had it or you didn't. I realized it's something you can learn. We've developed a beautiful emotional curriculum where we teach people the skills of knowing what they're feeling, how to express them fully and responsibly, how to really have more empathy and rapport with other people. And we put a chapter in the Transform book about that, and there's a chapter for relationships in the heart of the fight on emotions and the importance of being able to use their power and not just suppress them, but to be responsible with them and to use those to connect more deeply to yourself and to your loved ones.
So stepping back a minute, could you tell us a little bit about your origins, your background, and how you came to the position that you are in now, where you're helping transform lives?
You know, I think it started with my own hunger of really wanting more out of my life. And growing up in a factory town, I didn't know a lot of possibilities, and I needed to kind of learn what was possible. And I think I just had this bigger hunger, like, oh, how do you live this life? You know, how do you do it? You know, what is it really? What's it all about? And kind of went on my own journey. And then that followed into my studies, and I studied psychology and ended up getting a doctorate in educational leadership and change, because I realized that we need to educate ourselves to what it really takes. So I really started on my own journey, but then realized I was learning a lot of things from that journey that could be shared. And I had this unique opportunity to develop programs for students who had different kinds of disabling conditions to be able to attend college successfully. It was a model program. I learned so much from that about what really mattered, and really seeing that it wasn't, for me, I thought you had to do everything perfectly. You know, like you had to be good, not make waves, be perfect,
right,
and look good and have the perfect circumstances. And I realized the people that I was working with didn't have that opportunity, but yet there was a quality of life many of them had, and a moment by moment genuineness and authenticity that I was missing. And that was part of, I think, what sparked my journey. So it's just been a lifelong process of learning and growing and doing research and studying myself and teaching. And also I'm in partnership with my husband, and we have a wonderful faculty of just all these people coming together, figuring out, you know, what works, testing things over time. So now we know this is what it takes. This is what it looks like. Here's the program. And the only way not to be successful with it is to not engage in it. Because if you do it, it works.
Right. So with the last minute or so that we have here, I would like for you to convey one central message or theme to the listeners, so that if they don't get anything else out of our discussion, this is what I want to leave them with. Could you do that?
It's a beautiful question. You know, I think what's really important is that each of us has immense potential. Each of us deserves to live a life that we're proud of, one that satisfies us, that's nourishing, that contributes to the people around us. And that's our birthright, and that we can have that. We just need to know what the tools are in order to do that. And we shouldn't settle, and we shouldn't give up. We should have really big dreams and do everything we can to fulfill those dreams. We owe it to ourselves, and we owe it to the world around us to really be satisfied and love our lives.
Excellent, excellent words of wisdom. I am inspired. I am truly inspired. If the listeners would like to get in contact with your organization, learn more about the services that you provide, and possibly engage with your company, how can they do that?
You can do it a couple of ways. You can go to my website, judithwright.com. That's right with a W, judithwright.com, or Wright Living, WRIGHT, living.com. And you can find lots of our seminar, foundations training, that we will give to you absolutely as our gift. So I would love for people to do that. And we're also giving away chapters of our book. So you can go on those sites, and you can also go, yet again, to heartofthefight.com. So judithwright.com, wrightliving.com, or heartofthefight.com.
Awesome. Well, Judith, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, and I know that our listeners do too.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.